Good morning. My name is Tina with Tina Parrish Coaching, and this is Yoga for Life. And our flows, our vinyasanas, our asanas, our whole routine today will focus a bit on balance. Let's go ahead and get started by getting into the center of your space. Maybe you have shoes on, maybe you don't. Breathe in and out. And let's go with Tadasana Mountain Pose. And that's with the palms open. And it's such a simple way to start to open the chest a little bit, because most of the time those palms are face back and it causes the shoulders to go forward. So it's such a simple opening to just bring the palms. And you might start to notice some adjusting happening in the pelvis. In fact, I would do a little bit of squeeze, just so you can understand some basic movements into the pelvis without taking the rest of the body. So just go into a squeeze a little bit. And if you think of the pelvis as like a bucket of water, when you squeeze, you're maybe dropping a couple droplets of water out the bath. And just do a little adjustment there. And then a little Tai Chi Wuchi knee, which is just a little bit of a softening there. Making sure your knees are coming over your second and third toe. So we're working on some like Feldenkrais alignment here by using yoga and Tai Chi. Now with your neck, imagine that you're just aligning your head over your skeleton in a way that has you use minimal use of muscles, right? So when we strain our head forward, it's a lot of work for the neck. So you're just lining your head over and then perhaps letting go of the jaw and the tongue. And taking some deep breaths. So we take these simple moments, these simple minutes to just get into a better alignment. Open up the airways and we begin some neck exercises. So first thing we want to do is we want to check the tension or the strain or the stress in the neck. So go ahead and turn your head to one side and just honor where it's at in that moment without judgment or without forcing. And then go ahead and bring it forward and then turn to the opposite side. And you just want to notice differences or different sensations. Maybe it's range that you're noticing, maybe it's relaxation that you're noticing, but without judgment. So let's go through a series of neck exercises to help get into better alignment. So we're going to go into salamander stretch. That's where you draw the same ear to the same shoulder without any kind of movement other than in the neck. Same thing. Notice the size. Breath coming in and see what sensations you can feel. Can you feel it all the way down into the lumbar region? Right? 640 skeletal muscles are an interconnected unit. So by moving our neck, we go slow enough. Opposite side now. And take our breath and drop into here and now. We can begin to listen better to the body and to kind of slow the brain down. And it's okay if the brain is not in agreement. If it's like, hurry up, come on, this is boring, blah, blah, blah. It's okay, it's the brain. We're gonna let it chatter, and we're gonna let it meet into the body. Take your hands behind your occipital bone, that's the bone that sticks out. There's two little potholes below that. And you're just gonna rub gently in a horizontal fashion with your fingers or your thumb, whatever you feel most comfortable. We're gonna do an eyeball stretch, and if you go slow enough, and you hold light enough, you can actually feel movement in those potholes. So stretch your eyeball on a nice fold. Let's go across a horizontal line. Honoring the sensations of the breath. Using the breath and the body as a tool to get the brain to slow down and come in agreement to fuse or integrate into this moment. So go ahead and take your time and draw your eyeballs forward. And then we'll go opposite side as well. We start to let go of attachments or opinions or judgments. And just sort of embrace the present moment. And just kind of fold and fall into it and see what it brings next. Excellent. Down with that. And then we're doing a combo here. This is where we tilt and we look up. So it's two parts. So instead of kind of melting those parts together, let's break the parts down. So ear goes to the shoulder. And then go ahead and look up, moving your neck. And then we need to break it down. So go ahead and look down again on the toe. And then correct the toes. And then opposite side. And just sensation of what we want to be moving, what we need to release and acknowledge. Look at. Accepting the slow process. And using the neck to get through the feel good nerves. All the way back up. Excellent. So let's do a little test here. So again, look side to side. You don't have to know how or why, but if you know a shift, something sort of shifted for me. And that's as good as a descriptor as you can use. You can use bigger descriptors. Oh, it loosened up, or it got open, or I felt more relieved. It's up to you. Mostly just a shift is a nice neutral language. Let's go ahead and get the chair. We're going to go into sun salutations, and I'm going to find these moments for the neck a little bit more. We can open up those cranial nerves, those vagus nerves, toning nerves, and also as well the focus on the balance too, where we find that moment where we can go over to one side, watch the strength, and then watch the placement of the feet. So arrange your chair how you feel most comfortable. I'll give you the side view. Going through sun salutations, dropping into asana, or into our first asana, mountain pose, Tadasana. Taking our time to get into prayer, and just honoring the sensation, the atoms, the warmth, before the fingers actually touch. We go into just sensory there. Notice that there's something there between our hands. We don't have to understand it. But just be open to different sensations. Fingers come together. Feeling that heat, feeling that prayer. Let's just rub the hands a little bit together, a little friction, a little tai chi friction in there. And then just pull apart the words. Excellent. All right, you can have arms up or arms down. It's a front stretch. Traditionally, arms come up. We reach back and start to use posterior muscle strength to hold us up. And it's okay if arms look like this, or if arms look completely behind. I want you to feel comfortable, but feel that posterior stretch. Let go of the jaw. Let go of the breath. Let go of the eyelids. Excellent. We get a big transition here. We're going to go into forward fold. I want you to take your time, how that looks for you in this moment. We go into a half forward fold. And just honoring where you're coming through with your body as you start to address potentially tight hands, tight back. Take your time and start to get centered into your feet, like grounded in there. Feeling equal weight. And start to even imagine a bit here of what that next move is going to look like. We know we're going to have a single leg. We know the leg is going to come back. We're working on that spatial placement. If you need to edge forward a little bit, you plan on stepping back far. Hold that all in. So go ahead and transfer your weight to one side. It's okay if you need to use the chair a little bit more. You're going to lift up that single foot. Holding that, and then work on the placement. Is it going to be a pyramid for you? Or are you perhaps going to go into runner's lunge? What's that going to look like for you? Take your time touching down, and then go ahead and get into position. I'm going to go with runner's lunge today. That's my choice. Runner's lunge. So it's okay if you got to move your feet a little bit. You know, we're just practicing that spatial placement back there of understanding what your flexion is in that moment. It's okay if you didn't hit it quite right. You need to move a little bit. Just make your adjustments. Excellent. So wherever you're at in this, we're going to need to get that other foot back, right? It's like, oh, okay, maybe I need to sneak that foot up a little more. And go ahead and push yourself back into place and see if you can find your downward dog. A lot of yoga, I believe, is grounding, is getting really used to where you like your feet, where you like your arms, where you have your range in that moment for the day. So take your time, feeling grounded in the hands, feeling grounded in the feet, easing into that stretch. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, so I want you to decide, how much do you want to come forward? How much do the shoulders feel like they can handle that body weight? How much do you want to push back? We're going to do some neck work. So I want you to kind of decide where you're at in this. And let's turn the head side to side. Let's look up with the neck, and that causes some compression. If that doesn't feel good in the lumbar, you can go into a bit of a cat from that tabletop if you're trying to protect certain parts of your spine. And then we're going to look side to side as we're looking up. Neck work. Excellent. And push yourself back into downward dog. Spinal waving in addition to the neck. So we take this little break in sun salutations. So you're feeling cat, you're feeling tabletop, and potentially you're even feeling some moments of cow. There's really no right or wrong to the spinal wave. You can get into plank if you want to. That can be too much. You can back off if it's too much. Just feeling what the spine does, the movements, what you're comfortable with. Lots going on as you decide how much you want on that body weight in the upper body. And then wherever you're at or where you feel comfortable, push back to or get into, and some more neck movement. So turning side to side. Looking up. Dropping the jaw and turning side to side. All right, progressing this forward after this little pit stop, playing with the spine and playing with the neck. So I'm going to come up to plank. If that's too much, you want to get a little bit more out of downward dog. And then the plank traditionally progresses to upward facing. So wherever you're at in this, I'm like going to full extension now. Go ahead and go back into the neck movement. Practices various turning, looking up and turning. Excellent. And then all of us can push back into downward dog or greet some of us that are already there. Spatial, we're getting on that single leg again. So it's involving strength plus spatial. You can measure it. Can be good on that single leg in that position, and then be able to hit that spot if you're going to go pyramid or if you're going to go runner's lunge, wherever you're at in that moment. And then lift that back foot, decide how you want to do that. So have a strength on a single foot. And then we're back into that forward fold and hopefully feeling a little bit looser. that forward fold to half forward fold. And then we want to come up, and everything that's stretching behind, we want to contract it and stretch the front, decide where your arms want to be. As we do in upward salute, or for some, it's more of a locust, arms are down. Take your time coming up. Before you drop too quickly into prayer, let's feel that energy between the hands, the atoms, the chi. Hands come together in prayer. Let's do a little friction. Rub the hands. And then drop outward into Tadasana, into mountain pose. Inhale, exhale. See if the body has dropped in a little bit more into your practice, into this moment that you have. And let's turn the head side to side, the neck. And think about what comes to mind now. Did something release? Did something let go? Did something new settle in? It's a little different for all of us, but there was a shift. There was a change to these neck exercises. Go ahead and grab your water really quick so you get ready to flow through some more movements. Excellent. So let's go ahead and take into our chair strengthening, which also is our glute strengthening, and then our tree. So we know that these are a slower movements. They ask a bit more strength from us. So let's practice the balance, the shifting, and just taking your time, feeling upright and deciding how much is okay for you to come over onto one side based on knee, based on posture. It's perfectly okay to also bring your chair over. If that's going to help you get into better form, by all means, right? You're not cheating by using the back of a chair in this practice. Go side to side. And just notice where you're at as we begin in the beginner phases of tree pose. And that might be where you're at in this next short strengthening asana, is just being able to go up to one side and feel comfortable with that. And that can be enough. Okay. Glute squeeze. Watch out for the knees. We don't need to lock them out. You want to be sensitive as you start to squeeze your glutes. Perhaps open up the chest a bit more. As if you were lying down, right? You can bend your knees more, you start to realize that can be a lot for the hands. It's a lot of strengthening. So take your time with that. And you can always shift your weight forward when you decide to come up. So just experimenting, getting close to that bridge. We're on a vertical bridge. Typically it's a horizontal bridge, but we're trying to access those muscles a little bit better. Okay, the next move in the short but strengthening asana will be chair pose. So we can take it into that kind of Tai Chi move as the first round. Just observing the knees coming over the second and third toe. And maybe even do a little bit of opening and closing the door. And then take your time coming up, accessing as much as you have, and those larger lower body muscles. Great. So there's our flow. So you see how we can go a little bit ease depending on how you're feeling in certain parts of your body, but I will be deepening as we go through the flow more. Chair pose or tree pose. Lots of ways feel, excuse me. Lots of ways to feel where you're at in tree pose without feeling the pressure of having to get there in a certain way. If the chair allows you to access flexion a bit more without feeling like you're getting out of alignment or losing posture, and go to the opposite side. And we'll flow through here. We're on our second flow. We'll go 3 or 4 flows. So There's always other chances to deepen it and open it up more. There's our tree. So let's go into our bridging. Deciding how you're bridging, how you want it to look and feel. And noticing the parts that make it a little bit more ease for you. Into chair. Starting out with that yoga, that Tai Chi preparation move. Opening the door a bit and then seeing can drop into chair. Transferring from Tai Chi to yoga a bit. That's 2 sets, right? So I'm going to progress a little bit more. Remember, I want you to stay where you're at, where you're feeling, where you feel like good. Yoga isn't about perfecting the pose. It's about being able to hold where you're at in that moment. That's a feeling that all of us understand. And we don't have to have our poses look exactly the same to have that feeling together. Flowing into that vertical bridge. Understanding the muscles we're attempting to access. And just using various tools to get there. Flowing from that preparation Tai Chi into that chair. As we go into our final flow here of this asana. Listen to your body tell you different things. Where are you good in this moment? Where do you feel good? Without putting pressure and expectations that it should look or feel a certain way, switching legs now. Honoring everything that's happening with you, the stability, the challenges of that stability, just holding all of that humbleness, learning, feeling. If anything doesn't feel right, back away from that. Give yourself some space and some understanding. Flowing into bridge. And then into chair. Releasing, spreading your feet out, reaching with your fingers, exhaling, holding those tough moments with as much ease and grace and acceptance as you can muster. A little bit of water there. Get ready for the next flow. Deep and strong and patient there. Very nice. So I'll have the chair right behind me because I want you to feel like if at any point in some of these flows, if you think you want to get to the chair and just focus on something a little bit different, say flexion and not so much mobility, remember flexion and mobility is flexion and strength added together. It's a little bit tougher when I say mobility. We're going to come into the chair and just experience that flexion. What we have here, chin coming out almost over the knees here without putting pressure on the back. What we have here in terms of width and knee going over the second and third toe. Wanting to feel no pain in the lower back, no C curve. And just hinging forward a little bit and feeling like your feet are supporting you. We're opening up the hips, we're opening up the back of it. This is a great move. Sitting in the chair, there's no reason why you can't bring that awareness. Take your time out for a moment, whatever you're doing, and just come into this movement. What's good for the hips is going to be good for the back, typically. So open up the hips, we're helping the back there. So there's just a great little go-to move if you find you've been sitting too long. Breathe in and out. So we've got that flexion. See if we can go into mobility, which is flexion plus strength. So then you want to come out. And you're going to come back in. This is some of the hardest moment right now, right here, right? Is to access that immediate strength and hover above the chair and to hold on to that strength and then come back in. So just take your time right here. Working on those pockets for most people where it's tough. You have the second and third toe. Taking your time, come in and come out. One more here and see if you can come all the way up on this one. Even. Right, you want to watch just kind of, if you're coming up a little bit even, you want to give it equal strength to both legs. Breathe in, breathe out. Nice and wide. And so we do a forward fold, right? If you want to, if you need to turn around and use the chair some way, it's perfectly fine. I'm going to attempt taking 30% forward of my body weight. And then coming back up. So I want you to take your time with this as well. Again, right, it's 30% of your body weight that's coming forward. You're stretching the lower back, but then you're also asking it to be strong enough to hold you and lift you back up. Legs are very, very steady. There's a lot of balance going on here. And last one, come all the way up and be gentle here. What can you squeeze back here when you start to stretch forward? Soften, make sure the knees are okay. It's a different feeling when the legs are wide apart, right? So we're opening some of those horizontal hip muscles there. Breathe in, breathe out. Excellent. Take your time, come back into the chair, and then let's get a little flexion with warrior. Right, in the chair, you have this amazing flexion and learn to start to open it up a little bit. Get into that intersection. The back heel intersects the back foot and two different directions there. All right, so take the flexion. See what's the mobility like? Can you add the strength? How do you want to come out of the chair? Where do you want to put your strength? Where don't you want to put your strength? Knee over the second or third toe. And just take your time moving a little bit, checking the strength, increasing the flexion. Hardest part is easing yourself back into the chair. Not flopping, right? Okay, opposite side. So gently increasing the strength, understanding the flexion, and attempting to increase the strength, attempting to improve mobility. Okay, gotta come out of the chair. How's this gonna look for you? Based on knee, hip, things like that. How do you want that to look? What have you got in terms of pushing a little bit of weight, coming down, working that little spot, that little area? We'd like to increase strength more. Okay, when you come into the chair, take your time. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Come into the chair with ease. Breathe in, breathe out. Excellent job. Okay, easy set here in the chair, working on flexion a bit, starting to feel what it's going to feel like to be moving the spine and the transverse plane and using the arms a bit, okay? So keeping things pretty symmetrical for the first round, just so you can start to interpret like how difficult this starts to feel. So goddess arms, so you feel the blades coming together, squeezing a lemon back there without feeling as if you're going into a C curve and like really crushing the lumbar, right? So bring the bucket up a little bit. Pull the blades back, come forward more if you need to stay away from compression happening in the lumbar. Into warrior two. And then to a chair arm, or even it is a warrior one arm without twisting at the spine. And then go ahead and drop one arm. You can mirror me, it's okay. That represents either reverse warrior or extended side angle, depending on which way we're leaning. And then opposite sides. So you can still feel the back being used through all of this, but there isn't the transverse twisting. I'm going to add the transverse twisting now. Warrior one side. So come turn face center. So there you begin the revolving there. Goddess arms. Warrior two arms, just extending. And getting ready to turn and go into warrior one. So you feel the spine turn, reaching up, feeling a deep extension through that back leg. Whatever leg you have in the front, go ahead and drop that same arm. So it can be left to left or right to right. Lean forward a bit. Extended side angle, really lengthening that. Right, the opposite side is compressing. So if we go into a reverse warrior, we're going to get that part stretched and the hips open up a little bit more. Beautiful. Take your time. Come forward. Whew. Before we get to the other side, let's just take a little pit stop here. So I want you to go back. If that doesn't work for you for whatever reasons, you're not feeling the spine turning, go ahead and go back to the set that's very equal. Doesn't matter if you're doing the correct order or not, but I'm going to actually go into a little bit revolving. So I want choices for people. Like, okay, I want to keep things really straight, or okay, I'll do the revolve with you. So I'm going to come forward and then go ahead and reach one arm down. And then go ahead and reach the other arm down. No revolving yet, just seeing how the body's going to respond to this. So go ahead and switch again. And now draw that opposite shoulder up. So the revolving starts to happen now. And then come back to center and switch arms. Excellent. Come up and offer a different style of revolving. So again, if you're not revolving, you're going through all those great symmetrical arm movements. Slide one arm down, not revolving yet. Slide the other arm down, not revolving yet. Back is nice and steady. Switch, and now you're going to offer the revolving. So push the shoulder out and come down a bit. Want you to be able to come up on back strength alone and not how hard you can push against your legs. So opposite side, hand comes down, not revolving. Now revolving, shoulder comes up. Go as low as you think you can, and you're still able to come up based on back strength. Beautiful. Let's get the other side in our flow. Opening the legs up, Nice flexion here. We'll be pumping up to strength in a minute. Breathe in, breathe out. Knee over the second and third toe. Bring the arms up into goddess. Feeling the kind of squeezing of the lemon between the blades. Drop into warrior two. Not much changes except the arms extend. And now here comes the rotation into one. Whatever leg you have in front, drop that same arm and go ahead and extend and stretch out more. And then reverse that. Stretch the opposite side. Excellent. Come back to center. Okay, so you're welcome to go into the second step, sitting in the chair or even attempting to come out at moments and increasing that strength. So we're right into the opposite side. Optimal flexion, adding into the strength, seeing where you're at, seeing where you can keep your weight there. How low can you go? Get really close to the seat. Bit of a rotation. We want to fit into goddess first with the blades squeezing. Drop into warrior two. And now begin some revolving. Let's go into one. Extended side angle. That's the front arm to the same bent front leg. Let's just feel that chair, feel it calling you, but stay up and into reverse warrior. And then gently come down. Breathe in and out. Just treat your spine really careful when you're coming down. You don't have to leave those knees to call on. You'll be able to do that sitting it down very carefully. Opposite side. Set up your warrior leg. Combine flexion with a little bit of strength. So if your mobility is going to be on like this, get really close to that chair. Goddess arms come first, feeling the blades squeeze, extend out to warrior two. Start to feel a revolve in the core, the lengthening of the leg as we go into one. One becomes extended side angle. Lengthen, ooh, more strength on that leg. And then reverse warrior. Ease yourself back into the seat. It's right there for you. Inhale. Exhale. Great job. Up out of the chair. We're going to focus more on revolving a little bit. Get into some of those poses that offer a little bit more revolve. And then also show you if you don't want to revolve, how can you stay in just one plane for the spine. So let's go wide here. And we'll start with that standing, right? Working on the mobility here. It's flexion and strength. Forward fold. And getting comfortable and getting centered with the feet. Another great one to just stay in, if you're just to stay in here for the next 2 or 3 minutes, you'd be doing good for your body. So don't feel like you have to go into the revolve. It's just not calling you. So I'm going to put one arm down without the revolve. And then just put the other arm down with the revolve. I think it's great to just sample that way to see how your body reacts. And then switch again and start to address that opposite shoulder. Bring that up. This is just as good. If you want to have that chair right there, you don't have to come down onto the floor. And then take your time, come forward. So we're all in different stages with this. Some of us is just dropping an arm in and grabbing an object. That's perfectly fine. Some of us can do a little bit more. Dropping in, address the opposite shoulder. Taking your time, using the chair just to help you with that form, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, let's go into triangle. So triangle is like warrior without the bent knee, right? So you can set that up right here and now. You get the feet in that interaction where they intercept position. And as you lean into that body weight, like we were doing with warrior one and warrior two, see if you can keep the knee straightened, not locked, but straightened. And see if you can have that arm come down at all. And just experiment with hitting those two planes, right? And how that feels for the spine and that rotation. So giving you that front view of triangle, bringing the elbow up. It's not necessary to bring that arm up unless you really want to. We are working on some other things here. I'm just going to pivot. I'm going to go to the opposite side. Triangle is when you take out that bent knee. Sliding the hand down, the elbow up, attempting to fit very well into the side or what's known as the frontal blade. A little bit harder there and come back forward with both feet. Want to open up the hips just a little bit more, just take a turn into the hips and see if you can bend side to side here. Using the chair however you need, getting the knee to go to the second or third toe, and just see if we can open up those inner adductors just a little bit more. There's like some muscles on the inside. It's as low as you think you can go. It's as much weight as you think that you can transfer. As you attempt to open up. Okay, so this can be good enough, right? This can be good enough, but I'm gonna call on a little spatial awareness. I'm gonna have you go into some different poses here. Your legs should be where they need to be in width. And I'm just gonna work with some ankle movement here. So as you're going to side, what would it be like if you came forward and you decided to hit warrior two? And then you came back down, you turned that foot, and you went to warrior two, the opposite side. All right, experiment a little bit more. Maybe you're feeling good just going side to side. You don't really want to hit the warriors, that's okay. I'm gonna offer warrior one. That's a little step up from the warrior two. 2 to 1. Balance revolving a little bit more. Stay in that plane, stay in that plane. Come back. See if you can get to the opposite side. So here's where we're really kind of working on that spatial. Decided this was a good position for our legs. The width was good. Working with the ankles here. Going from 2 into 1. Feeling really good about where you've decided to put your feet and how you're training your ankles. Okay, work your feet in. Get a forward fold. Take some deep breaths. How about back up to a little neck movement? So that was intense, but it was also good for releasing tension in the body. I'm looking up and I'm going side to side. So get away from perfecting it or judging it and just get into it, kind of feeling where we're at in that moment with it. Excellent, come all the way up. Breathe in, breathe out. Let's get into the chair a bit. And we will do our nerve flossing. We will do some core work. Let's start out with seated soft pose. This really mimics what it's kind of like to be in a car, right? You're not really contracted in your legs that much, they're loose. We'll do a couple of exercises that actually can kind of benefit your comfort in a car. Functional. We've got to turn the head side to side. Sometimes you have to turn the body a lot And so let's just mimic what it's kind of like in some proper turning when the legs are loose like they are in a car. So let's work on the neck here. The only part of the spine turning. Pretty loose legs like they are when you're driving or sitting. Excellent. So we're going to add more part of the body here, and we want to be careful of how much the lumbar is involved. So we need to do a torso rotation because you're going to have to look back more to see if the car is coming. Add the neck. And just come back to center. And then opposite side, right? There's probably one side that's like, well, it's so much easier. Take your time. Drop your jaw, drop your eyelids, drop your tongue. All those things can make a difference. Good. Really common movements, areas of the body that's needed when driving. You want to be careful about the lumbar and how loose the body is. All right, bringing one foot up, popping up just for a little bit of support. Seeing the strength in the core and the hip flexors. If you can levitate your leg, bring it up. Just want to note on the simple exercise where you feel like you need to come from. If you notice you're coming from the lower back, to try and move it up. That's okay. Opposite side, let's just do that test too. Propping up, getting that support, and then elevating one leg, and just notice where you're coming from with that. Great. Legs extended out again. Arms out in front, and don't go to them, stay with your core. And all the way up, or however you can, right? Not all of us can reach this. Wherever you're at, do you have any neck movement here? Take your time. And do you have any lumbar movement with that? Careful. Neck movement with the lumbar. Opposite side, careful, lumbar. Neck movement. Release slowly, getting deep into some things in there. All right, go ahead, prop the legs up. Go to a bit of nerve flossing now. So we want to bring the knee up as close as we can get to that same armpit without feeling like you have to round out the back. Stiff lower backs can have you about right here, and that's just fine. That's just where you're at for the day. And then seeing if you can extend that leg to the point of perturbation, which is a little bit of shaking. Right. Once you get there, ankle back and forth. Breathe, relax the tension. See if you've got some neck mobility. Multitasking. Take your time, bring that leg down. Never let go of that seated staff pose. That's why I like to begin this whole flow, this whole vinyasana with the seated staff pose to just get your core where you want it to be, holding you up. Same knee to same armpit. Extending out to the point of perturbation, shaking, and then working in nerve floss, ankle back and forth. Release the tension in the shoulders, draw on the neck, side to side. A big part of balance is just making sure we're getting mobility and movement on sides that we tend to not favor, right? Driving or sitting and how we face people, perhaps in a restaurant or where we sit down at the dinner table. All right, opening up the hips. Take your time here. Let's get some deep breaths in. Feel a lot of different things in this moment. Take your time easing into it. Knowing that the body's physiological response is to tighten up, is trying to protect you. It doesn't want you to drop into something you're not ready for. So breathe in and out. Expand your flexibility in this moment. Sitting with the uncomfortableness of it without labels. And just accepting the as is, which is so much nicer than the labels. And then we can stay here. If you're really liking this, you don't want me to push you any further, stay there and breathe, getting something out of it. I am going to go into a crossover. I'm going to add more revolve. Opposite arm to that top leg. Coming forward, realizing I want you to come up on back strength. You can bring that elbow up. What's the revolve like here? And without pushing into the arm, into your leg, can you come up based on just that back strength, nice and slow? The opposite side. If you were just doing that figure 4 stretch, you got a great stretch out of that. And if you didn't do the revolve, take your time. Tough, uncomfortable moment. Body's going to use physiological response. These Golgi tendon organs actually tied up. And then as you breathe and you wait, you go, oh, okay, I get what you want to do. You'd like to release a little bit more. We incorporate, right? We have this body, this excellent tool that tells us things all the time. Whether or not we listen or perceive it, that's another story, right? The mind moves really fast, it loves to take over. We're practicing the art of equally balancing the mind, the body, and opening up the essence when we do that at the here and the now. And everything feels so good in the here and the now, no matter what it is. Okay, crossing over. If you're going into that, just take your time with what you're experimenting or experiencing. And then using strength to come up and taking your time. And feet down. Excellent. And we'll go a little bit wider so you can come up on your toes here. Come shuffle closer to the edge of the chair. And breathe in and out. I don't know if you can hear this thing in the background, but I do have to share this with you today because my cat is being a great example of what it means to be impatient and not sit in the moment. So I'm just going to treat you to this today of, how our muscles kind of feel sometimes. Impatient, wanting in, wanting to let go of that moment. Okay, it's time for you to come in. You come in. Okay. Sorry, that's just some of the treats here you get when you do yoga for life in my living. Just wanted to come in and be the final part of this, right? Allow this. Okay. So let's go ahead and close out our practice. Let's put our hands together here. Breathe in and breathe out. This moment, this hour that we've shared together, you just learn the art of balance, to use the body to expand and to feel deeper into this present moment. That's all we really have. Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all that you do.